Hello, Dr. Manny from Artshed Brisbane again. Welcome to How to Stretch Your Own Canvas. This is the third in the series of painting support talks, and I hope to be able to show you just how easy it is to stretch your own canvas. Recently we just finished talking about the convenience and the cost effectiveness of pre-stretched canvases. So why on earth would anybody want to stretch their own? There's quite a number of reasons. Firstly, you may wish to choose your own profile, meaning you might want to choose a thin profile or a much thicker profile. You may want to choose lengths and proportions of height to length to breadth that aren't available as commercially produced pre-stretched canvases. You might want something that's 10 centimeters by 2 meters. Alternatively, you may want to choose a canvas type or a material type that isn't commercially available. This is a very heavy Latvian unprimed canvas that I love painting on, and so I'll be showing you how to stretch this canvas on some stretcher bars. Stretcher bars are these. They are timber, often finger jointed pine, which is very inexpensive, but sometimes hardwood. There are also western red cedar, and we also stock Victorian ash, which is a hardwood. Most of them are sourced from plantation timbers rather than using, of course, forest timbers. And they come pre-prepared with what's called a European mitre end. These mitre ends or joins fit like Lego pieces one into another and give you a corner that's accurate, sharp and snug. So it's as simple as that. You buy the length and breadth pieces that you require in the profile that you want, in the timber type that you want, and you prepare, as I have done. This one happens not, these are Montmartre stretcher bars. These ones are our SPI tough bars. They're just a slightly heavier profile. I like it simply because I really like to tug this heavyweight linen very, very firmly around these for my canvases. So, what other tools do we require? It's very important, of course, to have a sharp pair of scissors, a staple remover in case you muck it up and you need to remove some staples, a pair of pliers is handy, a tape measure, an angle, although that's not essential. If you need something to check your angles and you don't have one of these, simply look in your home for something that you know is a definite right angle. For instance, the corner of an aluminium window. If you sit that in and it's not right, well, you know that you're not square. Alternatively, of course, in case you haven't realized, you can check how square your rectangle is by measuring the two diagonals and ensuring that the two dimensions are exactly the same. Important to have a little hammer, and even more importantly to have a softer hammer, a mallet. If you haven't got a mallet, you can roll some rag or leather or something around the end of it so that when you're hammering the timber, you're not damaging it as you go. You need a stapler. You can use little tacks or brass tacks or iron tacks. I don't recommend it. They're not as tidy, they're harder to do, more time consuming. Better to get some stainless steel staples and a staple gun. You can get them as electric staple guns, makes it much easier on your wrists. A piece of sandpaper is always useful, just in case there are some sharp corners. You don't want that cutting your canvas. And some canvas pliers. Montmartre make a very economical set of canvas pliers. There are some larger ones and some incredibly large ones for people who stretch huge canvases. This is not necessary for most artists in their own home workshop. So as I mentioned, they fit together. You've checked for whether or not your corners are all square. You can staple these corners at this point to ensure that they don't go out, but these SPI tough bars are so snug that it would actually take you a lot of effort to deliberately put them out of square. If this were a primed piece of canvas, you would lay it down with the painting surface, in other words the primed surface down, and this here being your stretcher bar's front surface. You know it's the front surface because of this lip. You can see here there's a lip on the edge. This is what holds the canvas up and away from the inner edges of the frame. Otherwise, as your brush loaded with pigment comes across, you would leave a ridge of paint which looks very unattractive just on the inner border here. So put it face down, making sure that you've cut your piece of canvas generously enough to allow a fold over on each side. If you skimp on this, you'll curse yourself later. Trust me, it's a lot harder to stretch your canvas if you haven't given yourself enough. I'm going to use this one here. My staple gun's loaded and ready to go. You simply ensure that the edges are even. Pull up one edge, the one closest to you, and I simply place 3 staples neatly in a row along the edge closest to me. Now, turn it around. Canvas pliers. If you stretch it too far, of course, you'll tear your canvas, won't you? So you just need to be a little careful until you get familiar with just how much tension you can put on the stretch. So I've done a stretch across the breadth of this canvas, and you can see it's kind of kinked up a little. Don't worry about that. That will straighten itself out as you go along. Next, just gently pull the canvas up on this side. Remember, you've got nothing holding it on that side, so if you go very, very strong on this, you'll end up distorting the canvas. So half stretch the length, and now you can put a little bit more elbow grease into this end and give it a real good bit of tension. You can feel that going nice and taut. So, already taut like a drum. So we have 3 staples in each of the edges. What I like to do next is to just go along the side and work one side and then the opposite. If you notice a staple doesn't go in as far as it should, just tap it in with a hammer. Careful not to damage the canvas. I had done this side. Rather than coming across and doing the diagonal, it's best to stay on the same side. Otherwise, you might get distortion. It's a good idea to always try and gauge just how much tension you put on the canvas. Almost done the lengths now. Best not to go too close to the corners. You'll want a little bit of loose material in the corner so that you can achieve your folds more easily. Right, it's all stretched except for the corner folds. A corner fold is simply a hospital bed fold. All you need to do is to ensure that you tuck the corner neatly thus, and try and do it in a similar way around each corner so that the folds aren't bunched up and interfere with any frame that you might want to use in the future. If you'd like to make sure that these corners are as tight as they can be, you can use your simple hardware pliers and just exert a little more force than your thumb and forefinger can do. And lucky last, here's my finished stretch canvas. There's a few loose strands and some uneven pieces of canvas. You can trim them down carefully, making sure not to cut your canvas. If somehow you damage your canvas or there's a cut in the canvas, don't panic, it's not the end of the world. You can either take off the canvas and restretch another piece of canvas. Alternatively, you can use some acrylic gel medium or binder medium on a patch of canvas, adhere it to the back of the canvas, compress the two ends, let them dry, and you've got the excellent adhesive and you've patched up your canvas. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you for the next show.